Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our Saturdays with Tara Hangout on Air. I'm Mary Beth at the Law of Attraction Club, and we're on the web at the LOAclub.com. On these Hangouts, we collaborate with our friends Tara. This Hangout is the summary of our theme for the week and continues on our member conference line with live Q&A. Today's topic is a continuation of Chapter 9, Questions and Answers. Today's question: how do I create a miracle? You can get invites to our open calls, which we offer periodically, and our powerful, free letting go process by going to the LOAclub.com. So now we're going to hand the call over to Robin and Tara.
From our friend Bashar. Miracles are not the exception to the rule. They are the natural, true order of things. From Mike Dooley's Universe. You came first. Magic, miracles, and luck are the consequences of understanding this, the inevitable result of dreaming and acting in spite of appearances. You are ever so close. Simply stay the course. If you can imagine it, you can have it. For those of you relatively new to the concept of a law of attraction, we're going to use this subject of miracles to share with you our perspective on the fundamentals of who you are and what you're doing here, and thereby give you another way of thinking about what's real and what isn't. Then for all of you, including those who have been on this journey with us for a while, we'll look at that one thing about your life that you most want to change. And we'll look at becoming aware of how you're holding it and how to move your expectations up the line and manifest what you want. Let's begin by understanding what a miracle is. Although you may not think consciously in these terms, each of you has a probability scale that starts at the top with certainties and then moves down to probabilities, to possibilities, to improbabilities, and finally to impossibilities. And you have assigned a place on that scale of yours to every single thing that exists or potentially exists or you can imagine might exist. This is what you just plain know about everything. And you have it stored away in your subconscious, in what we describe as your tapestry of expectations. So in these terms, a miracle is an impossibility that happens, or an improbability that begins to happen frequently. From an external one-world perspective, you could say these probabilities are just the facts of life. And you arrived at your assessments by simply observing what is, or by learning from books or other people. As you grew up, you come to understand the way things work. And that's why you believe as you do. You may be thinking to yourself, this is not rocket science. Every rational and reasonable person knows this. It's self-evident. Well, we agree that it's easy to drop into this way of seeing things, but from a broader perspective, it's not at all rational. If you know you're living in one shared world, then you cannot fully know who you are, and you'll never really understand the law of attraction. That one world doesn't exist. The opposite is true. There is not one world, continuous and external. There is simply your world, which you're creating moment by moment, and into which you're attracting versions of everything that match your expectation tapestry. It has the appearance of being external and ongoing, but it is an internal movie playing in your mind. What you choose to believe becomes the virtual reality you experience. In this context, there is no such thing as a miracle, because every single thing you experience is a miracle. And therefore, by definition, there can be nothing miraculous about any of it. From our perspective, this is how we see you. In one version of events, the one you think of as your past, because of desires and choices, you began to exist as an individuated being. Then, through a million choices, you were born into a version of space-time virtual reality and had new experiences. Then you made more belief choices. And so, through millions more of these choices, the cycle continues. With each new choice, you step into a new version of you, and a new matching version of your context, your world, wraps itself around you. This is the natural order of things. This is the only natural order of things. So here's the absolute truth about you. You're a consciousness. You're an extension of Source. By law of attraction, you attract into your experience, wanted or unwanted, moment by moment, unique to you, a world that matches your chosen beliefs and expectations. If there are certainties in your expectation tapestry, they will certainly be in your version of the world. Probabilities will be there most of the time. Possibilities will appear some of the time. Improbabilities will appear occasionally. Things that you know are impossible will never exist for you. What you have decided about each and everything sets the boundaries within which your experience plays out. Notice in the law of attraction definition, we describe your world as being created moment by moment and being unique to you. Now, look around you. Listen around you. Feel around you. This is the moment-by-moment world you're creating. How much focus, energy, or attention are you putting into maintaining this illusion of yours? None. When you woke up this morning, there it was instantly. It was there because you had no doubts. You knew that the world you went to sleep in was the one you would wake up in. This was one of your certainties. So now the interesting questions are, when and how and why did you decide to believe that this was a certainty? And how, therefore, do you create new certainties? Here's some more words on this from the universe through Mike Dooley. In spite of the euphoria you feel upon entering paradise, cloaked in miracles, surrounded by angels, love, and unimaginable beauty, it gradually becomes all you know, commonplace, ordinary, and then shockingly invisible. We're talking about life on Earth. What does a fish know about water? Answer, nothing, until it leaves the water and has a new perspective. Can you see what the universe is saying here? You have become so used to being in that water of moment-by-moment creation that you cannot see it for what it is. It's become invisible. Can you see that your what is created by those choices of yours? And of course, it always matches those choices. And so it supports the belief that those were right choices. In other versions of you, you made different choices, and they likewise were right choices. Flat Earth or round Earth, it's always your Earth. And on each version of it, the rational majority will always believe as you do. Your what is reinforces your choices. And so it's easy to slip into the idea that it's not really a choice at all, that it's just what is, and you have to deal with it as it is. And so you wake up each day and practice over and over and over and over that it's real and it's out there. And practice makes perfect. As you practice that thought, it becomes, to use Mike Dooley's word, invisible. It disappears into the fabric of your subconscious tapestry of expectations. It becomes what you just plain know as real. It gets to feel very different than possibilities and probabilities. It becomes a certainty. Let's ask you a question. And we want you to be like a fish leaving the water here for a moment. Think about your answer to this question. Does the sun rise each morning in the east? Your answer is, of course, yes. But notice just for a moment here what a certainty feels like. And be consciously aware that it's your belief choices and your belief practices that make it feel like that. From our friends Abraham. Miracles are just the logical response of law of attraction to your logical, defined, deliberate intention. Expectation is the most powerful word because expectation includes what you want and your belief about it. When you're desirous of something and expecting it and believing it, now your expectation is in a place where you're in there where the movement is and you're in on the creation. And through our friend Bentinho Massaro, all things that show up in your life are derived from your state of being. Choosing joy, connection, bliss, freedom, trust is an act that contains all solutions to all possible situations. You become a living, breathing, walking, flying miracle, inseparable from the delicious miracle that is all that exists. So creating new things in your life is simply a matter of moving them up the probability scale. If you're looking to create a miracle, then we suggest you begin by taking it one step at a time. Here's an exercise you could add to your morning routine. As you open your eyes and sit up, at that moment, just observe the world around you. That version of your virtual reality that you're creating on the fly. Just recognize that you truly are, you already are, a miracle worker. As our friend expressed in those quotes we used earlier, everything's a miracle when you know the truth about who you are and how you're creating it. So now we're going to do a more extended exercise. We're going to look at that one thing about your life that you most want to change. If you're listening to a recording of us, you might find it useful to hit the pause button at various points and really get into the visualization. We'll also be referring to the 5 probability buckets you have that go from 1, certain, to 2, probable, to 3, possible, to 4, improbable, to 5, impossible. And we're going to ask you where you've stashed this one thing. Notice that we don't mean where you'd like it to be. We mean where it sits right now in your subconscious automatic rating system. For example, when you pick up a catalogue and thumb through it, have you noticed how you flip past the pages where the items are outside of your price range? Well, that flipping is not a conscious decision. It's subconscious. New decisions are made consciously, but as you practice them, they get stored away in the subconscious. And that's the place where we need to make the change. Okay, so here we go. So pick that one thing about your life that you most want to change. Take a little time and decide on one really delicious thing. It might be something you've wanted forever. It might be the first time you've ever decided that this is the thing you want. It might be the first time you ever dared to admit that this is the thing you want. And tomorrow you might decide on something else, because once you know you can have it all, you've stepped up to the smorgasbord of life. The truly important question for you all is always, what do I want now? So what do you want now? Get hold of it in your mind. See it. Feel it. Let yourself feel the joy of having it or being it. Good. Now ask yourself, which bucket is it in? And remember, this is not your wannabe bucket. It's your subconscious automatic bucket. It can't be in the certainty bucket or you'd be there right now. Is it probable or possible or improbable or impossible? You'll know by how you feel. See in your mind those 5 different buckets you've constructed. 1, certain, to 2, probable, to 3, possible, to 4, improbable, to 5, impossible. See which one you've stashed it in. Look at that bucket and see what else is in it. Now say to yourself, it's in that bucket because I put it there. There's nothing in heaven or on earth that determines which bucket things go in, except me and the choices I make. Now consciously take it out of that bucket and upgrade it to the next bucket. Now think about how that feels. Good. Now here's a question. How do you get to keep it in that new bucket? And here's some hints at the answer. How did it get there in the first place? You chose it. And how did it get locked into that bucket? You practiced it. So you get to keep it in one bucket or another by practicing the thought of it being that possible or probable or certain. There's no magic pill and there's no Harry Potter magic wand. It's simply a function of committing to think differently and then practicing that new thought. This is the process of creating something that starts out in the highly improbable or even the impossible bucket. Remember first, what makes it improbable? You decided it was and you practiced that decision. And as surely as you decided it was, you can undecide that it is. Then you start practicing that new thought. Practice, practice, practice. Now we know that when you've long been practicing one world thinking, it takes a particular focus to step away from those deep-seated habits of thought. But here's the good news. You form those habits by making the same choice over and over. And you can form new habits by making new and different choices over and over. And so can you see you can have the lie you want or you can have the life you want? You can indulge yourself and live with the lie that there's a world out there and you have to deal with it. Or you can choose to be the creator of the life you want. You can't do both. You can hope for luck or miracles or that somebody or something out there is looking out for you. Or you can truly know that you're the miracle worker. You can make new choices and new choices and new choices. Let's repeat those words from Mike Dooley we opened with. Magic, miracles, and luck are the consequences of dreaming and acting in spite of appearances. Acting in spite of appearances. Simply stay the course. If you can imagine it, you can have it. With each new choice, you inhabit that new version of you and your world. You and your world are an inseparable unity. It's your personal, moment-by-moment virtual reality. There is truly nothing you cannot be, do, or have, because in your world, you are the miracle worker. So let's together create some minor and major miracles in your life and in our intersections in this space we share. That's why you're here. That's why we're here. So let's dance.
This Hangout on Air was a summary of our theme for the week. We do 3 live calls a week with Q&A for our members on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can become a member by going to theloaclub.com/join. Our longer discussion with Q&A continues now on our member conference line. So back over to Robin and Tara.